We're live.
What's up, everybody? This is 𝗥𝗲 here, along with my partner here, Pedro Meneses, and we'd like to welcome y'all back to the Real Talk with Real Estate Investors show. We've got a special guest in store for you guys today. She is the co-founder and broker of the Real Estate Expert Advisors, one of the nation's fastest growing real estate brokerages. She's the co-owner of the Tracy Cousineau home selling team, also one of the largest real estate teams in Georgia, which has doubled their transactions 3 years running. She's truly an industry leader when it comes to selling homes, and we couldn't be more excited to have her on the show today. Tracy Cousineau, welcome to the show. How's it going today?
Thank you. Great. Thanks, Trevor and Pedro. I appreciate you having me today.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Definitely. And we're super excited and stoked for you to join us today on the show and share your words of wisdom with our audience today. I know you've got an incredible story, which we, myself and Pedro, got to hear a little while back. And I can't wait for you to share that with our audience. So, hey, without any further ado, I'd like to kind of go ahead and kind of take us a trip down memory lane to how all of this got started.
Yes. So, the first thing that I want to share is that your past doesn't define your today or your future. And so I think that so many successful entrepreneurs have a story. And at some point they may not have shared their story, or there's people that are struggling that have never shared their story. And that's the fear of releasing their story is causing them to have failures in their life versus opportunities in their life. So I want to start with that, because once I was able to really share my story and build rapport at another level, it really helped me to be the person that I needed to be to show up every day and to have the true passion for what I do, and to boldly be able to have conversations with people, and to live a black and white defining role model versus having any gray in anything that I do. So sure. That just, releasing that story and just that victim mentality of, all these failures always happen to me, and look at this other person over here kind of stuff. And one exercise that I had to release from any coaching environment that I ever got into is the form that they would have you fill out to get to your goals and assessments. And that number one question of who is your competition? Mm-hmm. Defining that I'm my own competition is real, right? I should not define my goals around a competitor, because what if that competitor made a choice and they failed? That means I'm going to follow them and I'm going to fail? No. So my competition is myself, and I have to show up to be my biggest competitor every single day. And I have to come up with something different that I didn't do yesterday to overachieve and work further than my competition yesterday, which was myself. Sure. And so, knowing that has really allowed me to venture over that $1 million hustle and to continue to grow and hustle to millions and millions of a hustle.
Awesome. So kind of take us back a little bit. I know you've got a real story that I think a lot of folks can definitely relate to, with, it wasn't always just a really great lifestyle, with fancy houses and cars and, and everything that you probably ever wanted. I know at one point in time, you told us, you were pretty much had bottomed out. You looked at your bank account and there was like nothing there. Kind of start us from there and tell us about that.
Yeah. So in this business, this will be the third, I don't know that I would really call today a recession, but it's kind of a fearful, if you live in that fear zone and you didn't pivot to outlive a recession, then you would call it a recession, I guess. But in this business, I was in the business during 9/11, which was a recession period. And then the 2008 Great Recession. And then now, pivoting through what we're going through now, but I wasn't prepared for the first one. Didn't really hurt. The second one really hurt. I was living with the Joneses. I was keeping up with those competitors and, all of that kind of lifestyle that I woke up one morning with $186 in a single mom of 3 children and lost my house, my car. You know, it's not really fun hiding your car from the repo man and waking up every hour to see if they're out in front of your house with a
No
tow
doubt.
truck. To, you know, trying to identify what Christmas looks like and birthdays look like, and your children not understanding that they're young, they don't understand, you know, what's going on, and you just have to keep showing up every day. But I had really hit rock bottom. I was making some really wrong choices, and I was hanging out with some really wrong people that really just my alliances were just way off. I became the victim of what I was going through, and every day I woke up and the first thing I would do was go, okay, I'm already down, give me more. But I was asking for it. And when we put stuff out in the universe, guess what? We're going to get it. I was showing up ready to be the victim every single day. And I was showing up to ask for more bullshit in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that I had to, one day I just woke up and it was like, I've had enough of this. Like, how do I get out of this? And what was I doing? And it was, I haven't looked back since, because it was a mindset change immediately.
Wow.
That I was bigger and badder and better than what I was going through. And that I needed to really step back and evaluate where we were and how we got there and make sure it never happened again. And so I did that. It was November 2011. And I, first of all, I checked off lots of people from my life at that moment, and I never went back to revisit that. And I made an alliance with who I wanted to be around and who was my ideal tribe. And I just kept looking for who was going to encourage me, who was going to help me get to that next level, who was going to support me and not tell me like everybody else did in the past is, oh, that'll never work. Oh, you're going to open your own brokerage. Oh, that'll never work. Maybe you'll have 6 months. Well, no, you know what? We were an Inc. 500, 5,000 company for 3 years in a row from $186. So, you know, people will steer you in directions because either one, they think that's the best advice that they only know, or B, they don't want you to be successful. Because once I let go of that past and I am successful, that's where your haters show up that used to be your friends. And you're just like, wow, you loved me when I was down holding the bar up with you, but now you hate me because I'm not showing up in the same places that you are in life. I'm actually showing up to live a passion to help other people show up in their life now. And so it's a huge difference, but it starts here. And it's, you know, it was always in my heart, but I allowed other people to make choices, or I made wrong choices.
That's powerful, you know, because especially right now, I think it's the perfect timing that you're sharing that with us, because I know during this time in this industry and in other industries right now, there's a lot of people trying to survive. There's a lot of people trying to thrive, to grow and do something positive for themselves. And there's a lot of people right now trying to bring them down. Even I mean, we are in the same network. And I think sometimes in our group, we share those experiences, how other people is trying to take us or talk to out of our dreams. So I think it's perfect that you're sharing this right now, because this can encourage someone right now.
Yes. You know, especially during this time, is it really time to evaluate? Am I really doing what I really want to show up to do? Am I really living somebody else's dream, or am I living my own dream? And now is a great time to really take the time to reevaluate that and look at other opportunities. Because you're only successful when you're passionate about something. Have you ever seen anybody successful in something they couldn't stand to do?
You're right.
No. You know, in all areas of life, you're not successful if you aren't conditioned to be passionate or know where your direction is. You're not going to survive. You might get away with it. You might live day to day by it because it pays the bills or whatever. But are you only here to pay the bills? Are you here to give back? Are you here to reach your community, your family, create a lifestyle for you, everybody around you? And it's huge. I'm not a good clock in 8 to 5 kind of person. It's not successful for me.
I heard that. Well, I know that you talked about, you know, one day you woke up and you were just like, enough is enough. And hey, I'm going to do things differently from here on out. Talk to us a little bit about some of the steps that you took. I know that one of them was eliminate, you know, the negativity and the negative folks around you. That's something that I know myself and Pedro did as well. What did you hire a mentor, or was there any books, that something that just kind of helped give you that guidance in the right direction?
Yeah, we did a lot of Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. And I would say that was really huge for me, to release fear and past things that were holding me back or weighing heavily on my shoulders. I surrendered to a lot. It was just like, I'm done. I'm done in this situation, whether it's an ex-spouse. I'm done in this situation. They can make the choices that they make. They can say the things that they want to say. But you know what? I can't control that. I can only control what I wake up every day and do. So either if there's things that come my way that I need to help make solutions on, or, work towards and find the opportunity from and solutions from, then that's what I'm here to do. Or what can I learn from this so that it doesn't happen again, or that I can help other people on if this ever, if you come across this again, these are the steps that I would take next time. Versus, oh my gosh, I'm the victim of this again, right? And so I believe in this 5-minute vent. If something happens and it really ticks you off and you really got to talk about it, call your BFF or call your spouse or whatever and vent about it. And then try to be done with it. Like, then find how to get through it, right? And sometimes it's something that people harmfully, they hurt you. And if that's a place that it wasn't actually business, but it was in your personal life, then if you can make the change to say, you know what, this person is probably not suitable for my life. Maybe I've outgrown this person, and that's okay. I think that a six-month evaluation of your tribe is worthy of looking at, and to see if you've got people in your tribe that are telling you not to make choices that that you want to make passionately. And then, because you can look back, because I can promise you that I look back on a lot of people that told me or told us that we would never be where we're at, or that I would ever be sitting here, on this show with you, because I wasn't worthy of anything, right? And so it's just believe in yourself, believe in really what you need to show up for every day, and that's how I live now. But mindset was huge. Tony Robbins, I did 𝗥𝗶𝗹 business mastery, leadership mastery. But again, it was changing my tribe. It was communicating with my tribe and doing mastermind events. And, and then it got to the point that it was time to go outside of the real estate industry and mastermind with people that have bigger mindsets. I always, we always want to be the sponge in the room. I always want to be the dumbest, right? So that I can learn off of other people. I just have that mindset that if I see something that is this big and it's a good idea, I want to take it this big and make it a bigger idea. And so if I can take something somewhere else and make it bigger and make it my own, then I'm all for it. I think it's great. I also did recently a course with 𝗥𝗲𝗹 on human interaction and communication. And so I was able to go through the hypnosis process, and which was really, really huge. There's awesome. A lot of times because my subconscious is not there on a lot of stuff anymore. And so there's been times, that people have asked me, oh, do you remember this? And I'm like, I really don't remember the pain of that situation anymore. I remember it, but now I can smile about it because the pain is gone. And so I think that you have to get clean of your pain to be able to fully move forward.
No doubt. And I know that both myself and Pedro are big believers into the subconscious and training and the human mindset and psychosis and hypnosis and things like that. We actually had Marshall Silver on as a guest about a couple months ago, and he went deep into that. And you have to operate with certainty, and the only way that you can have what you want is by clearing out that negativity and all of that stuff that's clouding your judgment, so that you can proceed to move forward. Right.
Yes. Yeah. So when I started learning all this like mindset and human like psychology and all this kind of stuff, so I did this with myself, and now it's kind of funny because now I try to find like other ways to like override my subconscious or things that I've done all of my life. Right. And so one was typically you feel pain when you stub your toe. Right. Mm-hmm. And so when it hurts a lot, but I just told myself it hurts a lot when I stub my toe. So guess where that just went? It went to the back of my head. So that when I stub my toe, so now I just think it's funny when I stub my toe. And so if I stub my toe, I kind of just chuckle about it and move on and go, that was stupid. I'm funny. That's so funny. And I forget that it's supposed to be painful so that I could just keep going on instead of being like, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad. And so
No doubt.
that's kind of just like your mind. It all starts here. It all just starts here.
Isn't that funny how that works? You know, that you can't always control the situations, but you can always control how you respond to the situations. And boy, you know, if the situation is going to remain the same, if you have an opportunity to respond in a good way or a bad way, why not just, you know, respond in the best way possible than letting, you know, that negativity dictate your day? Because once that's gotten control of you, you know, you're done, you know, and then nothing happens. And then you end up in a worse situation and then you start focusing on that. You know, so it's just funny how it really all starts with the mindset. No doubt.
It does. I mean, I'm not perfect. You know, I've been, you know, I run myself through situations all the time and I'm like, oh my gosh, like stop, you know, and then I'm like, I'm not doing this today. But you know, emotions come from hate or love. And it's finding the right emotion. And where do you work off of the emotion of hate? Because look at all of the things of the emotions that come from the word hate, and then look at the emotions of everything that come from love. And if we can positively connect with words that come from love in situations, it will make life a lot easier.
Boy,
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that the truth? I feel like it also just takes a lot more energy to be upset and pissed off than it does to be happy and to smile. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, I mean, if I got on this call today and I'm like this, and I'm like, you know, rolling my eyes at you, and it was just like, okay, are we done yet? Like, how are you going to feel? By the end, you're like, can we get this girl off of here? You know, like, I'm going to ruin your mood. You'll be like, oh my God. Then you're going to start going, ew, did you see her smile? Gosh, look at her hair. It's like going to continue to just kind of go like this. But I'm on here like high five and like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm smiling. So you cannot smile back. And if I start laughing over something so stupid, you're going to chuckle, you're going to laugh. And it's just
contagious
feeling, right?
It's crazy how that energy is contagious. It is insane, especially in like things that you do, real estate, or things that we do also like marketing and all that stuff. Like we are talking to people all day long, and that energy can be transmitted like in seconds through the phone, through a Zoom call.
Yes.
It is incredible how can it change your mood immediately.
Yes. If I show up to meet with a client or a customer and they have an attitude, then, you know, I'm going in with my own attitude of, I'm not going to mirror them, right? My game and goal during this conversation is going to be, by the end of it, to have them mirror me, right? So I already go in like, you want to have an attitude? That's fine, because when I leave, we're going to be best friends. And so it's my job to go in there regardless of their situation. And by the end of it, we're best friends, and they're going to mirror how I went in versus me mirroring in. They're going in with an attitude because they're in an attitude, right? So it's just learning those processes.
I totally dig it. Kind of back to what we were talking about, you know, just a moment ago about, you know, how you respond to certain situations. Obviously, you know, over the past couple months, you know, basically everybody in the world was kind of blindsided with a certain situation and forced to pivot in whatever way that they, you know, that they could. You know, some people haven't responded as well as others. Tell us a little bit about how maybe it affected your business and what you've actively done to respond to the situation to overcome, you know, any problems or anything like that.
So when this started happening, the first thing I thought about was all of what I went through between 2008 and 2011. And I remembered first the promise that I made myself on November 2011. And it was, I will never live this life ever again. And so I knew the things that I needed to do quickly, so that I never had to go back that. And I knew what needed to be cut off, what things needed to happen sooner, you know, just in personal and in business. Like, changes have to be made, but we're going to survive it. And I'm not going to stress about it. I remember specifically being in an old brokerage office before we opened our own company during the recession, and everyone in there lived by fear. And they would just sit in these computer areas and just talk about everything that was so negative. And it was so like, now when I read it, I'm like, my body hurts. You know, it was just like, everybody's doing bad, so we should all do bad, right? And so I came out of the recession a completely different person than I went in, right? And so real estate isn't my niche. Real estate is my passion. Maybe not so to a certain level. Working with people and getting people to their goals and showing up for my community is my passion. And so when this recession, or when this COVID-19 started, real estate's essential. And it was my job to show up every day. And it was our company's job to show up every day for the community, because we still have people that get fed by every transaction. There's buyers and sellers that have goals. There's a seller that they have a situation that they're going through, regardless of what it is. I can name tons and tons of reasons why people sell their house. There's a buyer looking for the seller's house. There are handymen, there are landscapers, painters, roofers, lenders, title companies, closing attorneys. There's all these people that get paid from one transaction. And if we just decided that we were going to shut down for a few months, we didn't show up for our community. And that just doesn't make me feel good at all. And that's not what we're passionate about. We just happen to have a good relationship with the housing industry, that we actually sell houses well because we have a purpose and we have a system that works well for selling houses. But the end goal for me is just being in that closing and seeing us, we got somebody to their goal. And that's what it's about. We just know how to implement very well to get to the goal of selling houses.
And y'all definitely do. You know, one of the things I remember you talking about even just a couple years ago was, you know, you were ahead of the curve as far as online, and really like, you know, trying to generate business online and using it to your advantage, you know, to really build that online presence. So, you know, I think where, you know, all of this kind of, you know, happened, I think a lot of real estate agents, you know, were kind of using some old school techniques. And when this happened, they felt like they were shut down. You were already just business as usual, and actually gave you a chance to probably get even farther ahead, because you were already preparing for this. Kind of tell us a little bit about, you know, some of the strategies or the things that you were using online previously, as well as, you know, currently during all of this, you know, Corona, you know, COVID stuff or whatever, you know, to help just keep it business as usual and keep the business coming.
Yes. So yeah, bringing up the past. Yeah, I used to sell houses on MySpace. So if anybody knows what MySpace is that I didn't use a dating site or my top 10 friends.
You're way ahead of the curve.
I was selling houses with a theme song of Brick House, you know, like it was fun, right? There was twinklies and all this kind of stuff. So I was talking to people about buying houses versus worrying about who my top 10 friends were on there. But Tom always showed up though as my top. Yeah. So, and then moving over to Facebook. So Facebook, I was probably one of the first members of Facebook, but I hated it. It was like, if you remember back in the day, it was like an outline, right? It was like, what is this? It didn't have.
Where's my music and songs and all of this stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh no, I don't like this at all. Like, I'll just go back to MySpace. Right. And then it got better and better, and it continues to get better. But we've been doing virtual tours for years. So it was really, the only thing that we changed was really Zoom. You know, we had to open a higher account with Zoom to, you know, have conversations with buyers and sellers on Zoom versus meeting them face to face. And that was it. I mean, it was an easy process just to turn like this, because we do as much as we can online. But we also found things that we weren't doing online that we really didn't need. And so we were able to save money on a lot of stuff too. You know, I thought we still needed all these beautiful high-end brochures. Well, guess what? People don't drive around looking at real estate anymore. I was just doing it to appease the seller, right? But guess what? I needed to take the extra money a month and put it online to capture the buyer, because we all know that a buyer finds the property they want to look at before they even hire an agent or speak to an agent. So knowing that, we needed to be more online. And so we just pivoted and moved money back more over to online brand.
I gotcha. So for the folks that are listening that, have traditionally done things, a little bit more old school, on foot, knocking some doors, putting up signs and things like that. What are some of the tips that you might give them, they're brand new, they haven't built a Facebook page or done anything. What are some tips or advice that you might give to a real estate agent that, again, what's kind of doing things a little bit more old school, that they can pivot so to ensure that, if something like this happens again, that they're set and prepared?
Well, it's, that when you start in real estate, if you're new and you start in real estate, they don't give you all the marketing tools. They just get you through vocabulary. They get you through, how to write a contract here and there in some situations and the legality of it. But they fail on giving you the creative part, the client experience. And in this business, you're going to attract people that like and trust you. You're going to attract and educate the consumer through your client experience. And, I don't ever like the fake it till you make it kind of thing. We grow from experience, and we grow. I would say it's not the amount of time that you've been in the business, it's the experience that you received during the business, right? So there are things that when I first got in the business, I had to learn on my own. And I'm like, ouch, I'm never going to do that again. Or thank goodness I made it through that. And I didn't know, I didn't have any mentor, to help me. I just had to learn it on my own. And so there's a lot of that. And so if you're new, honestly, during this time, there are so many great companies out there and large teams out there. Honestly, I would say, in my personal opinion, I would venture to a team that already has everything there to help mentor you and help you guide you through it, this process, because it's just really difficult. It's really difficult. I know that a lot of people think that real estate is easy and you can make, I'm going to get in real estate. They make so much money, but they don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And that's why most real estate agents don't make it past the first year or the second year, really. And there's a lot of fallout. They give real estate license away like going to a vending machine, honestly, in my opinion. And it's a struggle. It honestly is. I'm not telling you, this business is not easy. And so if you're not passionate about real estate, then I honestly think you should evaluate that. But if you are passionate about it and you just don't know what to do or where to begin or how to pivot, I honestly think that there are so many large teams across this country, wherever you are located at. I would definitely reach out to a bigger team to help pivot you through this process and learn from them. And, it may be that that's where your place was in the first place,
Sure.
If this isn't a time to want to develop, let me learn real estate, but let me struggle at the same time, because it is difficult. It really is difficult right now. Our market is down 34% in Metro Atlanta from last year at this time. And our business is up 36.6 from our numbers from last year at this time. And it's because we know the direction that we have to take. And when people didn't show up, we showed up. And so, I don't think now is the time to bring ego. And I don't think now is the time to, I just got in real estate, I need to go throw my face on a sign so that everybody knows that I'm in real estate and I'm an ego in this. And I don't think now is the time for that.
I'm going to agree with you in what you said about finding a team, because when my wife first started on her real estate career, that's what she did. She went to a real estate team back in Nevada when we were living in Reno. And yeah, they were taking a lot of their commission, but that helped her, learn a lot of the stuff that even at that point we had mentors and people trying to help us online through our network and through Apex and all that stuff. But it was not the same experience that she had being part of a team. It's like, yeah, you're sacrificing a huge chunk of your commission, but you're learning a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and that
Yeah.
prepared her to be like she's doing great now. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is based on what you were saying, that when you started doing all the marketing on MySpace and all that stuff, I think one of the huge lessons that people watching this right now or in the future can take is how important it is to always improve yourself, always educate yourself. Because right now, the reason why, or one of the main reasons why you're crushing is because you've been preparing yourself for this for years. You know, when most people has been ignoring the fact that everybody's going online, and that's where we're going, you know, and it's been happening for years now, but now eventually everything turned online and there's no option, you know,
Right,
and
right.
that's what people is hurting.
That's what I loved. I was like, I didn't have time to think, oh, maybe I'll do that next week, or maybe like I'll do that next month, or that's not a good idea. It was like, oh, you don't have a choice. Like, you can't leave your house, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And now you got to figure a way out of it, right? You got to figure out how you're going to still help people, and how are you going to do that? It was overwhelming at first. And then once you take a deep breath, you're like, wow, man, maybe there are people that maybe shouldn't be in alliance with us right now, and that you got to slow down for a minute. And that's where I was I was speaking at an event a couple weeks ago, and I was like, you know what, I really hate to sound really selfish when I say this, but when our governor decided that he was going to open up, even though we were having still all of these people getting sick on a daily basis, like by the hundreds and the rows, I'm like, I really didn't expect to open up until mid-June. I still got things I need to complete. Like, I still need to stay home and complete some stuff here, right? I was given this time to really work on stuff. And then I'm like, oh crap, I gotta hurry and get all this done really, really quick, because it's gonna be boots on the ground, because the world is gonna open back up and people are gonna be crazy and things are gonna be crazy, but I gotta stay in my own journey, and I gotta finish this stuff really quick. So for a second, I got really selfish and of thinking, oh, wait, I need a little bit more time. I'm okay being at home. I'm okay not leaving my house yet. So it was definitely a time to really evaluate. The first thing I did, honestly, when this hit, was I turned off all of my bank credit cards, because I never went really back to see all these little free trials that you sign up for, and how much money that like we were paying out. And it was just like, I'm turning off these cards. I'll get another card. And it's just like, I keep saying it all the time. I was like, gosh, look how much more money we have, because we don't have these free trials that turn into real money, and we never went back and turned them off. So that was the first thing. It was like, okay, we got to go find money. Where do we find what is owed? Can we live without that person owing us right now? But where are the places that we need to either go barter back with, or we can, you know, being on radio and TV, it's like, okay, if they have all these people back out, what if we had more money to give them, but they gave us more spots than they would have for that money? And so it was really just going through and reprocessing stuff.
Gotcha. Well, one of the things that I know I'm curious about, as well as our audience as well, is the fact that obviously you've got a huge company with a big team, and y'all are massively successful, you know, but you've been doing this all along while you know, having a family and kids, and you know, a household to attend to and all of that. Tell us a little bit about, you know, how you manage, you know, all of that, you know, as one, and you know, for the folks that do have family and kids, you know, and are wondering, okay, well, how do I get to that next level when I've got a soccer game to go to, or you know, or cheerleading event, or whatever the case may be? You know, tell us a little bit how you manage all of that.
I'm not perfect, but you know what I had to realize is that we have 24 hours a day, and people work with the mindset because this is what the universe has given us. This is what I don't know where it's only written in writing from the Department of Labor that you can only work 8 hours a day, right? So
Right.
why did we allow the Department of Labor to come up with this, that we can only work, that we're only supposed to, our minds should only wrap around 8 hours a day, right? And then you have this that that you have to have at least 8 hours of sleep. Well, we're all wired differently, right? If I get 8 hours of sleep, I'm crankier the next day because I slept too much, or I'm lazier and I'm actually not going to sleep 8 hours. I might sleep 10 or 11 because I got into that other zone of sleep, right? And so it's coming out of that mindset that these people made other people made choices for us that, oh, 8 hours a day and 8 hours of sleep, that's 16 hours. That's great, right? But what did you do with that other 8 hours?
Sure.
Where did that other 8 hours go? Can you tell me what you did with those other 8 hours per day?
You're absolutely right. I assume that you probably have a strict schedule you attend to, and bam, 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 it's all outlined every single day, huh?
So I try to go by I learned this from Darren Hardy, is if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Boy.
Other than like personal stuff, but yeah, if it's not on the calendar, if it's business, it doesn't exist.
That's true. I also try to live by a calendar. It's hard to get used to it, but especially because not every day everything's gonna go according to plan. So things gonna happen. So, but yeah, it's hard. But you're right. That's the best way to manage your time and make sure you show up for your work, your family. Most importantly, for a family, because why we do all this if we're not gonna have time for our families?
Exactly. I have severe ADHD, and so I'm all over the chart, and I needed to have that structure, and I needed to be able to, because I'll just go off squirreling. I mean, all day long if I don't have like, okay, you got to be here, you got to do this, or you got to do that. If it's a day that I don't have anything on the calendar, then you know what, I can squirrel, I can think of new things and stuff like that. But it's just, teaching, it took a while. It really took a while to figure out that calendar process and how I was going to live by it. But thank goodness for Google Calendar and iPhone, because it tells me where I'm going to be.
I'm the same. I'm battling with that right now. I get distracted all day long. It's hard.
You could actually be like, oh, between 1 and 3, that's gonna be my distraction time, right? So this is my distraction time. I had to get away from you got a minute, you got a minute, can you, hey this, or got a minute. I had to get away from that, and that was like time vampire. So I had to, in business, it's, I try to come up with, if you're on fire and you need me, call me. If it can wait a couple hours, text me. If it can wait a day or two, email it to me, and come up with a process. Because we all are around different personalities per day. Some people just need a pat on the back, and some people just want your attention. Or somebody really might have something they need to talk to you about. But it's not only helping your calendar with your structure, but it's helping people realize what your calendar and what your time it looks like as well. And setting those goals and those boundaries of this is what I require. This is how I do my day. And once everybody understands that, then it's much easier to get through your day easy.
True. Yeah, I totally agree with you. What about you, Trevor? How do you manage your time?
Well, I'm kind of like Tracy here. I've got a severe ADHD as well. And, I see something shiny or something going on, I'm easily distracted. And I remember for a long time, that, I would have basically a list, of things, a to-do list of things that I wanted to accomplish throughout the day. But what would end up happening is I'd be working on 7 or 8 things all at once, and I'd get to the end of the day and nothing would be completed, and I'd have this much done of 8 different things. So for me, the calendar has been a huge accountability factor for me. And basically, I've got everything lined out every single day that bam, 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 bam keeps me on track. And then at the end of the day, I've got 2 hours that I'm able to circle back around on things that I didn't get finished. But I will literally stop. If at 2 o'clock I need to go to something else, I'm moving, and then I circle back around at the end of the day, and I've got that time allotted for those things that I need to circle back around to. But if not, the calendar was a huge game changer for me and allowed me to double or triple my production just by helping me stay aligned and keeping me focused.
There's 2 things I want to add to that. When I first started the calendar, up until like even last year, I had more than one calendar. So I am a visual learner. I'm very visual, tangible, hands-on. So I would have a calendar notebook and have also Google. So I was being reminded twice per day of what my day needed to look like to keep me focused. But also the first thing that I would do was take care of the thing that I least wanted to do that day. Because if I took care of the thing that had to be taken care of and I was struggling to do it, whether it was a horrible phone call I needed to make or a situation that needed to be worked out, or like I just didn't really enjoy what I was about to have to do, I would do it first so that it didn't weigh on me all day long and not get done.
Mm-hmm.
And so taking care of that one thing on your list, when you write your list out for the next day, put them in order, and whatever you put last, actually move it to the top.
I dig it, you know,
trick.
and that's a huge relief too, you know, to just have the hardest part of your day out of the way early, right?
Totally. And you're going to work so much faster through stuff and effectively by getting rid of that number 5 first.
I agree. So here's something that has nothing at all to do with real estate that I personally want to know about. Is I have seen your car, the i8 BMW. Tell us, how fast have you gotten that thing up to?
So first I'm going to tell you how the car came about, because like you, we're going to go follow these shiny objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my oldest daughter and I are driving down Atlanta Highway, and we look over and there's this car next to us. And I'm like, I've never seen that car before. And it was black and it was beautiful. And I'm like, what was that? So my daughter's like, I don't know. And so we go a little bit faster to catch up to this car. And so she immediately gets on Google and we're looking at this. And then we find out that the doors open like this and it like what the inside looks like. And the next week I had one. So I like it because it gives me time. It's not big and a lot of people can't fit in it. So if I need just to air and have some time just to be by myself, it's a great car to just drive down the road and be by yourself and feel good in a car that you feel good in. But I absolutely love it. I really do. It doesn't have a lot of miles on it. I don't put a lot of miles on it. I need to, but because I got the mom car too. And then I have a driver that drives me around most of the time to my appointments outside of COVID. So I miss it a lot now that you brought it up. I'm like, gosh, it's been a while since I've driven it. I need to go drive it, but I love it. I love it. I don't use the battery part of it that often because I have this mind that I might forget about it because I'm thinking my mind just doesn't shut up. And so it only allows me to get, I think it's like 13 to 15 miles. And I might get to that 13 and 15 miles before, and I'm not always looking at the little gauges. So I just run it on gas because I don't want to be on the side of the road and not have totally be dead.
That's awesome. I'm a big car enthusiast. I love fast cars. And I think in a lot of ways it really relates to business. And I think that most people, or I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of folks, you know, that they're more focused on perfection and being that expert and getting everything just right, you know, as opposed to just hopping in the driver's seat and putting the pedal to the metal and just going as fast as possible and figuring it out along the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, so you have to reward yourself, right? So I've done this since I've been in commission sales, is that every time that I had a sale, then I would take a portion of it and buy myself something, whether it was a new pair of shoes or a purse or a ring or an outfit, because I always remembered why I bought it. I remembered the transaction, but I remember, you remember how you feel, right? So I bought the car just like I would a pair of shoes because I know how I feel when I get in it. And so it's just a rewarding feeling that you got to that point that you could reward yourself with something.
Which is, I think, is a great way to reward yourself. That's the reason why we all work hard. But I guess also the lesson there is it took you hard work to get to that point, you know, and that's what most people is not willing to do, unfortunately, especially during this time.
Yes, no, I wouldn't have been able to get that car. Let's see. going through the recession and going through everything I went through and bankruptcy and all that kind of stuff, I was so fearful at that time of running my credit. Like after all of that, I'm like, I just can't. So cash was king, right? We did everything by cash. And you got to spend money to make money, guys. And so we were not getting a lot of money for years because we were putting it into the business and we were putting it into other people to help grow the business and stuff like that. So we went years without having income that one would think that we would have had, because you've got to put it back into your business to make money. And now being able to finally reward myself. But so after losing my house, we rented for years, and a couple years ago, it's like, okay, it's time to buy our house, right? That's the business we're in. We should get back to that. But I was living in this, oh my gosh, and I'm like, no, you don't live like that anymore. But the one thing is like, oh my gosh, what is my credit even going to look like? What am I going to do? When I pulled it, I'm like, my score was like, I just found my credit report the other day. It was like 4 something. I'm like, what? Like, who has a 400 some credit score, right? And I'm keeping it because I'm going to use it in my next PowerPoints, because it's like, wow, do you know that that was like November of that year to February 1st, I fixed my credit from that point to like a 7 or a 665 or something like that. Just doing the things like who can clean up their credit by almost 200-300 points in such a short period of time? You can. So that's my goal of this, is that you have to spend money to make money. But if you have credit problems, there are ways to clean it up. I mean, they're like, I never would have imagined. And now my credit score is a game to me. Like I check it every 30 days. And I'm like, oh, what can I do? Can I add this extra card, or can I delete this? Like, how do I make this game go up to 800? How do I do this? And I mean, last month to the month before, my score went up 93 points.
Wow.
And it was just like, but you know what I did was, when COVID hit, I went and paid all my credit cards off, which then once they finally hit, then it went up 93 points. But I cleaned, because if I needed to live off of credit, my credit was now available for me to live off of. But it's interesting to know that you can learn ways to manipulate your credit score, where before I'm like, ooh, I was so scared to check it. So if anybody thinks, like, if you're investing and you're like, well, I need to use somebody else's credit, or I need to do this, no, I can vouch right now that you can clean your credit up within 2 to 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Definitely.
Like you said, it's always about learning something new and just keep improving yourself.
Yeah. Research. And if it's on the internet, it does not make it right.
That's true. That's a true statement.
No doubt.
Like every time you find something, make sure you double check another 3 or 4 websites to make sure it's the real information. Especially now that everything is, oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So many lies and so many fake news and articles and stuff that are not real.
I don't even listen to TV. I was hooked for the first couple weeks just to kind of understand what's going on. And then I realized that I was spending too much time at night waiting for the president to come speak at a certain hour every single day, and what we were going to learn that day. And then finally one day I was just like, that's it. I don't even want to know anymore. I need to know about it. I'm sure that CDC will come knock on my door. Like, I'm done. And so I haven't watched Fox News or CNN or any of that stuff in a month and a half, 2 months now.
Smart. I'm trying to weed myself off the Fox News as well. That's one of those things. Traditionally I've had it rolling 24 hours, even while I'm sleeping. I'm subliminally listening to it, but I realized too that that's just getting in the way. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta shut it off.
Especially if you're sleeping with it on too, because your subconscious mind, you're like, if you listen to Audible while you were sleeping instead, a book, your brain is going to remember some of that even though you're sleeping.
Absolutely.
Versus murder hornets or wasps or whatever, right? Like,
no, but it's crazy. I haven't watched news at all during this time. I never watch news. Like, if I watch news, it's because probably they had the news at the bar or something like that, But today I actually went and complained to the gym because I was on the treadmill, and I had the TV right in front of me, and they were passing the news, and I was like, for like 5 minutes after, I was getting upset out of nowhere, And then I went to talk to the managers. Dude, like, can you remove the news? Like, this is supposed to be a place where we come and clear our minds and work on ourselves and get healthy, not get sick from the news.
Right. Yeah, no. I
No
didn't come in here to vomit negativity. I came in here I got my buds in, I'm ready to go.
I agree.
Yeah.
Not in alignment.
Well, one last question I'd like to ask you, because I know you got to get back. You got a seminar in the works and some other things going on. So we want to let you get back to that and not hold you up. But one of the questions that we always like to ask our guests, our show guests, is who would you recommend that we have on the show?
Gosh. So I don't know exactly everybody that you've had on the show. But I've had some really, Jason and I've had some really great entrepreneurs on our show. So we did a business alliance during this time, and really had some sharp people. We had a great tax attorney who really helped people through SBA and PPP. So I don't know if you've done that, but they really helped us, where I really didn't see us getting an SBA or a PPP until he helped me get a roadmap on how to get through it. And so we now have our SBA loan funded. We're just now waiting on our PPP. And I don't think without him, I would have been able to get there. So I can share that information with you. We've had a really great guy who who had a hard life and was in prison, and came out, and now he works in prisons, and he does a course in prisons to help the prisoners come out later and really be productive in life and live a different life when they come out. Andre is a really great guy. So I don't mind sharing. I'll come back and comment on this when we're done, and give you some direction on. There's some great people. I think I can't answer that with just one. I might have like 15 for you.
Send them all.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, hey, we sure appreciate you coming on the show today. How can folks that are listening and tuning in find out more about you or get in touch with you?
So you can find me on Facebook for the most part at Tracy Cousineau Connect, and that's cousin with an EAU at the end. Or on Instagram, it's tracy.cousineau.
Awesome. Well, hey, we sure appreciate you coming on today and sharing your wisdom with our audience. We really appreciate it. We'd love to have you on again, hopefully someday again. And, you take care and have a great day.
You too. It was great.
Take care, Tracy.
Today.
Have a nice day.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.